So they've just arrived. They've come with a different bus. No, they've not come with us.
Okay. I see. I'm recording, so I'm trying to get this stream going.
No worries, no worries.
I'll just
Як ви
rec-
це почуваєте? Нормально. Хто боїться?
So who's this?
Okay, this is a refugee center, which is at this church
Yeah,
that we've come to. These guys have just come in,
yeah,
and they came with a different bus over here.
yeah.
And I just wanted to have a view of us in action. And let's do. This is Adelbrecht. Adelbrecht, say hi.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. Really busy right now.
Yeah.
So now let's talk to some of the volunteers, and we'll do this impromptu. I've warned them a little bit that we originally wanted to talk about propaganda, so let's just keep that idea in the mind.
Okay.
So these are some of the volunteers. So this is
Hello.
this is Johnny. He's in England.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
And we've been good. We've been good. So he's recording this.
Oh, okay.
And the idea is originally we wanted to sit in our living room and discuss propaganda, but time-wise didn't work out. So, and this is just almost like a dress rehearsal, so we can work out some of the kinks, both on his end and on ours.
Sure.
We want to do this like a regular, every 2-3 days, report from the field, people actually working, like from the horse's mouth, the honest truth. So if you want, let's start with you. Let's just introduce yourself and say a few words about propaganda that you've witnessed since you've been in country.
Gotcha. Hey, so I'm Chris Hammond. I'm from the United States, from New Mexico. I'm an ER doc by trade. So I'm out here trying to do medical stuff, but it's a pretty hard place to get into, but we're making some headway. Propaganda-wise, I'll tell you kind of what I've seen, and the part that makes me sick currently. Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's
there's cursing. Just don't curse because you'll fuck up the language. But otherwise, we're trying to. This is as raw as it gets.
Don't hold back.
And tell it. I want this to be truthful.
Yeah.
More than anything, don't slant it. Don't hold anything back.
Good.
Like I want this to be like the real truth. And if they censor us, then fuck them. If they can't take a joke. Okay. But
So I hate the journalist side of things. I'll be honest with you, right? Mm-hmm. So journalists, the press, they wear these purple or these blue vests with a blue helmet, and they stand around and they take pictures of people's lives, and they're removed from it.
Yeah.
And it looks fucking disgusting, right? It's people like at a theater watching a show. Yeah. And it's not a show, it's people's lives, So instead, the other day, we went to the bombed building, the two that got hit. We went to the first one, which is a poor residential apartment complex. The bomb hit the ground right in front of the building and blew the first and second stories, filled them with dirt and glass. And we watched this little old lady shovel glass out of her, off her balcony. So instead of standing there with, these 40 fucking people taking pictures, we just went around the other side, went into the building, got into her apartment and helped her and asked her, do you want some help? And we swept with we didn't have any brooms. We swept with little kids, toy brooms, and shoveled shit out of her apartment for 4 hours. Yeah. And then went to the next one and the next one. And we went to 10 different apartments because that was humanity. And I'm just watching this fucking thing right here. And there's a camera guy with his camera looking with all these little kids behind him, but that's all fucking staged. Stop trying to sell yourself. Tell the real story that this is a family, not the kids to exploit to make your money. That's the part that makes me sick. And I get it. Everybody's trying to raise money to help, but there's a real story and real humanity, not publicity. There's my problem too.
Yeah, I really want to second that. Because when we went up to the retaken villages, there was an APC, and there were still human body parts hanging from the trees. There was crows everywhere, and it was like this thirsty, all these photographers going crazy trying to get the money shot. Right. And I took a picture of the photographers because it made me so sick.
I did the same.
And this is we want to show that there is real courage, there's real humanity, there's real genuine chivalry and human interaction here, and not just the merchants of grief who are
Right.
profiting from the fallen.
Right.
Our photographer with us, put his camera, took some pictures and then put his camera down and shoveled shit out of the apartments with us. Like, I mean, that, you can get your picture. You can, somebody has to report, somebody has to document because it's telling the story.
Yes, but it's the tastefulness.
Well, here's one thing.
Introduce yourself.
Hey,
Sorry.
how you doing, Roland Jones?
Hello,
What's your
Roland.
name?
I'm Johnny. Nice to meet you.
This
Nice
is
to meet
Johnny
you,
in
Ray.
England.
Hey, I've done some of this stuff before, though, like different, like Bangladesh with the Rohingya and different things like that. One point that I would make is this is also kind of indicative of just people in general. Is like you get, unfortunately, people respond to that kind of stuff too. So you're also kind of like peddling to the public. I get that, like the people that are sincerely invested, kind of, we want to show the integrity of the situation, things like that. But like the people that are just clicking on shit and like going through it,
Want to see little
they
kids.
want to see a little kid. Like you have to compromise it too. Like like I used to hate it, and I hated like having to frame a picture. But like if I could get thousands of dollars more because I'm doing it, you just kind of like eat the sandwich and kind of do the crap and try to make something positive out of it. Like you can take lots of pictures. It sucks, but I mean I see both sides. But you want people to sit here and like have a wrong impression of the situation. But people are kind of desensitized to stuff, and they're like expecting crap pictures, and if that's what gets them to donate, then like the ends justify the means sometimes. Like you have to give the people what they want. So it's unfortunate, but
You're such a kind-hearted
Misery porn sells. That's what it really is. It really is.
It really does.
And it's because people want to say, "Oh, at least I'm not that bad. At least it's not happening to me." There's this whole Schadenfreude kind of element to it, which is the sad part of humanity. But there's also a
Kids are
good.
freezing right now.
They should be inside, not being a photo op. You know what I mean? That's
Right. Well, I guess with like the ease of communication over social media and the internet and things like that, it's really easy to become removed from the reality of the situation. Like, for example, you guys are there, you're in the thick of it. You're going to have a drastically different experience seeing the things that obviously the people who are watching these framed and very selectively positioned bits of media and content.
curated.
Right. To sell, essentially. So that's why I'm glad we're doing this, because it's more reflective of the true situation, and we can get the word out there of what's really going on. So what is
My idea was to have a long format, have a discussion and really have a long format where people can voice and document what's really happening, and not just sound bites and clips and aggregated,
Let's do it,
cliched and all that.
That's a really good idea.
We tried to start arguing our medic.
Yeah.
They've been freezing 5 days. She was like freezing 5 days.
Yeah, and they should be inside,
kidding
man.
me?
They should be inside.
Yeah, I told them, you gotta turn the heat on. You gotta move it. He was like, those kids were freezing for 5 days, and I told him, okay, you need to stop doing that. They don't deserve that. Put the kids in the van, turn the heat on. 5 days is over. Let's fucking load them up.
They're right here. They're right here.
Sorry about that.
Oh, they're going out. Sorry.
For real, you pull the kids out, hold them in freezing conditions.
Yeah. So
it was like I'm wasting his time. I said, no, you're wasting your time. Put the kids in the van, turn the heat on. They do not deserve this. They are collateral victims. The kids don't deserve it.
Introduce yourself. Sorry.
This is Crispy from Romanian Ambulance, private ambulance company.
Hello.
We are an NGO, and we help kids with disabilities and medical problems to evacuate the kids from orphanage and people that needs to get out of this place, because it's real, and a lot of the people are using this kind of images as a merchandise, and this is not okay. We are not here to make any kind of merchandise for the stories. The stories are true. The souls are being ripped apart. The kids are hungry, are scared, are traumatized. Some of them may have PTSD after all this. Can't just take pictures and start recording and hold them outside of the bus while the bus is still there. It's not fair.
What's your
not
experience
fair. I'm a little bit upset because of that, and it's not fair.
What's your experience with how difficult it has been to evacuate people, especially cross-border?
It's been a nightmare, a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
Because
The
there's
bureaucracy here is that it's I mean.
The thing is, there are also perverse incentives involved.
Yeah.
So you have the orphanage directors whose livelihood are tied to the kids. So if they give up the kids, they got no reason to exist. They don't got no reason to pay.
And they hold them like they hold them.
They're hostages. They're like hostages.
Something like that. We're telling them, dude, these kids needs to be getting out of this zone, this danger. And they were like, well, okay, but there's nothing we can do. We have to go to that person. That person would answer on our calls. They redirect to a state service. The state service is closed. They send us to judges. The judges don't work. And we are.
They tell us to go to court, but the court's not in session because there's a war going on.
Yeah. It's a martial law.
Yeah, and we're under martial law, so things should be easier, but in reality, they're not. And then you have, there's one parliamentarian who they're now accusing of being a Russophile because he's blocking every kind of movement on this orphan situation. These are kids who already have adoption papers, they have everything to go. And from the West, there's been real ways of, there's been real effort to facilitate the process. But here, it's it's a culture clash. There's two different worlds that are just don't meet. And so, yeah, that's the reality.
Why do you think why do you think the West has been allowing that to happen?
Well, I think it's guilt. I think it's guilt because they're not they're not doing the no-fly zone. They're just doing sanctions, which are totally meaningless. And it's if they were to stop the transfer of the most needy children, that would just be a really black stain. So so it hasn't been the West in this particular case. It has been Ukrainian officials, and it's also. It's not so easily that you can just say, oh yeah, and perverse incentives and legal trauma and Byzantine and structures. It's two different cultures. Everybody has the same war, but they're looking at it through different screens and they're seeing something different. And it's this cultural and language barrier that is really hard to break through.
You have to make a point that some people are using this war as a profit and a way of making money, and that's the sick part from the people.
Yeah.
One thing with the West being involved in the no-fly zones that you have to be cautious of is escalation. I mean, kind of going from the nature of Putin. If you restrict fly zones, then NATO has to enforce those. When somebody's already committing war crimes and things like that, and you escalate it, you risk a lot more lives at the same time too. If there's I certainly think the West could be more involved, that thing with the jet.
Yes.
We could, but it's a balance. The guy's being pushed back into a corner. If you push him too far into a corner, you risk him they have a lot of...
He can go psychotic. Yeah. He can go psychotic. If he feels he's losing the war, what's he going to do then?
Yeah.
See, right now, he's still a strong man. He outnumbers everything. It's not a cakewalk. They've made it really hard for him. But the question comes, it's like in the Cold War, who pushes the button? At some point when the Russians realized they're going to lose, they would push the button. So back in the 80s, the idea was they had game theory, Nash, and the whole idea was that with this poker logic, we came to the conclusion that if we do SDI, if we start expanding our military industrial complex and outspend them, they won't push the button, right? That was the consensus. And there was a case in 84 or 85, I think, where it came down to one man, Petrov, a colonel in the Russian army who decided not to follow the orders. And even though there was launches that were detected on the monitor, false launches, 6 missiles, I think, he didn't go ahead and go through with it. He had a horrible life. He got fired. His wife left him. He became an alcoholic. But the guy saved the whole world. But that's how close we came to extinction. Yeah. So now we're at a level where we're playing with fire, literally playing with fire. If we escalate the West, if NATO becomes involved, what are the next steps? And at what point when Putin feels like he's losing this, is he going to lose his shit and escalate further? and do, so, and there's there's two cultures. There's like the Russian view of all one great Russia, denazification, liberation, and they're both wrong, like it's very difficult. I think what we really need right now is more communication and more acceptance and more willingness to talk, instead of just irrational, because we're all one human family, and I mean, it sounds pathetic, but like it really is, and it's like getting entrenched in this, us versus them is not going to solve this real problem, and escalation is a real threat. I think that's a real threat.
That's also being aided and abetted by social media companies. Like, you can see any opinion other than "fuck Putin," he's evil, Ukraine good, it's just being completely squashed. There are people saying, let's come together and have like a discussion and see if we can work out something together, and they're just getting absolutely taken off, banned. It's called Nazis. Like, it's ridiculous. Any view other than Putin bad, Ukraine good.
Russia man bad, and Zelensky the hero. And that this us versus them, we can't. The stakes are too high. We can't continue this kind of thinking. We have to think in new models. We have to outgrow that. Like, and I think you're really addressing the heart of the problem there. And it's true, because what's happening here is also reflected in the West, with like the trucker convoy, with censorship is not only in Putin, they also have censorship in the West, and now everybody's pro the new thing. But this wider discussion needs to be had. So I think this is a good start for today. It's getting freezing cold out here.
So cold, man.
Yeah, we're going to go inside and spend some time with the families and even get some tea maybe. And let's call it a day. Tomorrow at 11 Kiev time, we're going to have a big press conference and at my apartment, and we'll try it there. They like the idea of our format. This is like the first time we're doing it. But so the member of parliament, Big B, that's his nickname, is actually Yurash, but nobody can pronounce him. We really need some vowels here. So, but we're at 11 o'clock. Let's try to do this again. So, but in a more civilized and a more coherent way. So this is just put this out there, do whatever you need to do. I don't care about rights or anything. I just want an open discussion, and I want to end the war, and I want to end the suffering. So do as you see fit, and we'll stay in touch. And we're going to go inside now before Frieza asses off.
Nice to meet you, mate. Cheers. Look after yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for doing this, and we'll do it tomorrow. We're talking. Let's try to do it, if it's possible for you, tomorrow at 11.
Let's do it.
Our time.
Let's do it. How often do you want to do these?
I don't know yet. I really don't. Like, this is war, so everything changes. Okay. My priority is I don't want to become like a social media thing. I'm trying to help people, so that's always the priority, right? So. And like in this case, like instead of like sitting at home and having a perfect little roundtable discussion as we planned, we saw the priority to help people. So that's always going to be first, but we'll make it work.
Okay.
Like right now, I didn't want to blow you off and ghost you. And I was like, no, we're going to do this no matter how it is. And if it's in the field and you see the suffering or you see the blood, that's just makes it better. It just makes it better.
All right. I'll let you go inside now.
All right. Have a good one.
Good to see you again, Charles. Speak later.
You too. Always.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.